welcome to a spooky, or not really spooky episode of the Casual Opinions podcast. I am Zany Take Zach, joined by Cool Take Caleb and Bad Take Bailey.
Bad take, Bailey.
That sounds fair. That sounds fair.
We've all got bad takes, but Bailey just has the worst ones.
Yeah, I tend to agree with film Twitter on a lot of opinions.
Sometimes I do, but sometimes I think film Twitter is stuffy and annoying.
I don't even know what film Twitter is.
It's just movie nerds tweet
People
too
like
much.
me talking about movies and stuff, so.
Morbius was fantastic.
What's it?
I haven't even seen it.
I haven't even seen Morbius.
Oh.
No. But I might just like Morbius out of spite because everybody else doesn't.
Well, I really wanted to like it, so I'm hoping somehow I still do.
My whole thing is that Sony paid a bunch of these like TikTokers, Instagrammers, influencers to hype up the movie, and these people collected their bag, and then as soon as the movie was released and they saw it, they took to their Instagrams, TikToks, whatever, and were just like, yeah, no, I pretty much lied. I was paid to hype up this movie, and this movie is terrible. Like, I do not recommend watching it. And it's just like, wow, they are not afraid of like Sony pulling the plug on them. That's how you know it's bad. When
What
the
if
paid
Sony goes for their
influencers
asses?
don't call it the best movie ever.
What if Sony comes after their ass? Breach of
What's-
contract.
Yeah, they don't care about it at this point. They're just like, this movie is ass.
Hey, if Sony paid me to say Morbius was good, I would say Morbius is good. I don't
Oh,
care
I
if
would
that
say
makes me
Morbius
sell
is
out.
good. However, I like this one thing, and the rest of it is terrible. And I would just like trash the rest of it and talk about the one good thing.
Hey, if the money was good enough, I would call it a 10 out of 10 movie, and I would die on that hill. So
I would never call it 10 out of 10. I wouldn't go that far.
shouts to rich people who want to give me money. So
Sponsor us, Little Caesars, please. I actually really like your food. I would give that
I
a
just
10.
ate yesterday.
Moon Knight calzone.
The Moon Knight calzone.
It's just a crescent. Oh,
It's just a pizza folded in half. It's- yeah.
That's the papadilla.
Which is that not just a calzone anyway? Like a
that's
folded
pretty much a
pizza?
calzone.
Yeah.
Well, we're here today to talk about Moon Knight, which we'll get to in a minute. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention at least a little bit at the beginning because this is, Star Wars is kind of our thing. I don't know if, I'm sure you guys both know, and I know I at least messaged Caleb, but they bumped Obi-Wan back 2 days.
We're angry.
I keep calling it Obi-Wan show, even though I know the title is Kenobi. But it was going to be the 25th. They moved it to the 27th. I don't know why, but I guess the added bonus is they're going to do 2 episodes at release instead of just one.
Are
I
they?
believe they bumped it. I believe they bumped it because of Star Wars Celebration. I think it takes place either on that weekend or around that weekend. So they were trying to utilize that whole thing to help Kenobi trend, I guess.
I feel like that's something they should know about well in advance.
Yeah.
That's my one
Kinda.
thing.
I'm curious. So is that changing its episode drop date to Friday, or will it still be
no.
Wednesday?
It's like they are only dropping the first 2 episodes on that Friday, and then they drop the next episode the next Wednesday. And
Okay.
it continues
That's
on
cool.
Wednesdays.
That's cool.
So you'll get 3 episodes in the span of 5 days, basically.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, no complaints there.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll be a
A banger,
bonkers.
absolute banger. Yeah.
Straight.
Mhm.
Straight.
Straight
Instead
bang
of saying,
fest.
I was gonna say, instead of calling something a straight banger, you should just be like, yeah, that's such a heterosexual banger. And just like longhand it. There. Well, let's get to something that is, in my opinion, not a complete heterosexual banger.
Here's a good transition.
Somehow
Yes.
Palpatine returned.
It's Star Wars and it's Oscar Isaac. Let's go.
There we
Oh,
go.
very good. Well done. Yeah, we're going to talk about the first episode of Moon Knight today, a comic book superhero who I'm going to venture out on a limb and say you guys as well, know almost nothing about other than what I've read. Similar to how like Peacemaker is like a D-list superhero, it's like Moon Knight is probably, from what I've gathered, like a C minus list
Yeah, see,
superhero.
I
Um,
would bump him a little higher on the C list, but
uh,
he'd definitely be there for a lot of people.
yeah.
I
So
think
and
most people know him from the altered memes. Like you know the one where it's like the comic panel of him being like, Dracula, I know you're here, you stupid fuck. Where's my fucking money? It's
well, he
like
calls him a fucking nerd.
that's it, you
That's my
fucking
favorite.
nerd.
Yeah,
I've never
Um,
seen this or heard of that.
it's pretty
they
great.
they edit comic panels to essentially turn Moon Knight into Deadpool, and it was funny at first, but now it's just kind of like this really isn't the character at all based on what I'm hearing from other people. So it's just like, yeah, that one panel's good, but I hope they don't write the whole show around that panel as a concept.
Well, we'll get into it. I've that's literally the only panel I've seen of Moon Knight, and I am learning in real time now that that was actually fake. I thought that that was real, so
I
that's
did
where
for a
I got
while
all
too,
my
and
knowledge.
someone had to point it out to me. So
Okay, well, we'll get going on it here. We'll start off and try to do a 90-second recap, um, and then just kind of get into what we thought about the show there. Caleb, do you have the timer?
I do believe I do.
All right, hit it when I say go. Ready?
Yeah.
Go. The episode begins with some dude doing a weird penance ritual where he puts glass in his shoes and stomps around. We then meet our hero Stephen Grant, who's a fucking dork who loves Egyptology and works in a museum gift shop. We learn that he is aware that he sleepwalks and tries to keep himself awake, but he doesn't really have any control when he falls asleep. Stephen conks out despite his efforts and wakes up in a field in some Bavarian looking area with a smashed up jaw and guys trying to shoot him. He also hears a spooky voice telling him to surrender his body to Mark. We see a quick flash of some mummy looking dude. Stephen ends up running away to a small town where the glasses shoe guy is there. His name is Arthur Harrow. And he's using some kind of magic tattoo to judge people. If they fail this judgment, they die. Harrow spies Stephen and says, "Hey, give me this gold scarab beetle that you have." Stephen wants to give it to him, but can't control his body and attempts to run away. Throughout the rest of this scene, Stephen finds himself in danger, blacks out, wakes back up, and finds out that the danger's been dealt with. Stephen then wakes up in his apartment, assuming that this was all just a dream, only to find a mysterious cell phone with missed calls from someone named Lydia. When he calls back the number, she refers to him as Mark. Beyond the cell phone, Stephen learns that 2 days have passed without any knowledge on his part. He misses his date. Oh wow, I was way off.
yeah,
Man,
Yeah.
damn. I was trying to add a little bit in there. He misses his date with the actual tour guide lady. All the while, after he finds that phone, Mark tells him to stop looking. We see the same mummy guy flash back and forth a few times. A very stressed out Steven goes back to his job to find out that Arthur has tracked them there. Harrow says that he worships the god Amit, who apparently could have stopped Hitler, which I was kind of like, oh, anytime somebody invokes Hitler's name, that's kind of like, why are they talking about Hitler? But apparently, could have stopped Hitler, amongst many other war criminals and the like. They mentioned like Pol Pot and some other
I
genocides and
would
things
like
of
to
that
the
point
sort.
out I thought it
Armenian
was
genocide, which is important to note. The Armenian genocide mentioned for a little later in our discussion. I will bring that up.
Oh, Bailey
why
reading some history books
why
apparently.
why do we think he didn't mention anybody like MCU villain wise?
That's a good question. Yeah, I thought yeah. Um,
Like no
It didn't
Thanos?
mention Thanos wiping out half the population in
Right.
this universe.
or it,
Interesting.
yeah, probably other people they could have drawn from there.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen also in that conversation calls damn it, and I like the way he said it. The first bogey man. Um, there's got a bogey on his tail. He doesn't like conversation. He runs away from Harrow. Later that night, when he's getting off work, Harrow sicks some sort of Anubis dog looking monster on Steven. Steven like hides in a bathroom and is like, I'm gonna die, but then Mark is there in the mirror, basically saying, "Hey, bitch, hand it over, let's go." Um, Presumably Mark takes over. He then becomes like Moon Knight, and just like you get like 5 seconds of Moon Knight punching this dog monster thing, and that's pretty much the episode. I was way off on 90 seconds. I must have been stumbling when I timed it the other day. I did it just fine, but so that was pretty much the episode. What let's I guess start with just general like or not general thoughts from you guys first, I guess.
I liked it.
Yeah, no, I'm in the same boat. I'm kind of glad they're leaning towards a supernatural, kind of spooky style of MCU, which I think Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness was going to be like the first horror, and I'm kind of seeing a little bit of those horror elements in this show, and I kind of hope they really lean into it. But it's been good so far.
I had to put down that it was good but not great. Um,
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
there was obviously this is a setup episode, and I get that it was a creative choice to not show the action scenes. Right, you're supposed to kind of have Steven's POV. Right, there's a little bit of
I will
mystery
say
there.
I liked that part. That part I kind of enjoyed and
I, I
appreciated.
I get what they were going for, but I was also kind of like, man, now I got 20 seconds of action in this 45-minute thing, and now I got to wait a week. And
Yeah.
it was fine. It was good. I hope it builds. I know Oscar Isaac's great, and I thought he did a really good
I do
job.
like
And
Oscar Isaac a lot. Yeah.
what is it? Ethan Hawke, Arthur Harrow is aptly creepy, very cult leadery vibes
Mm-hmm.
from him, which obviously is pretty intentional. But
Yeah.
yeah, I enjoyed it overall. I like the Egyptian lore side of things. I kind of like those, the Greek gods and
Yeah.
the Egyptian gods and the Norse god mythology, but not Norse god stuff in like an alt right problematic way, but like in a I played God of War way. Um, so yeah, I had a fun time with it, and I know Bailey, you mentioned, and this was kind of one of the questions that I had listed. Um, about the horror aspect, and I think they had said a lot in the lead up to this that this was going to be the first Marvel horror. And I'll go on the record saying that I am a total puss when it comes to horror stuff.
Yeah, you are.
I mean, less than I was, but still quite a bit. And I didn't think that this was dark or scary really at all. I did not. I mean, like
I didn't get that
I,
vibe either.
I guess the tone was kind of that way, but I wasn't like, oh gosh, this is spooky.
I'll
Like,
say that
it seemed like a Marvel movie
the first time you see
show.
that weird mummy thing,
Huh.
I think maybe it's when he's on the bus. I'm not 100% sure, but like I got like Courage the Cowardly Dog vibes. Like just like that weird, it's like kind of creepy, but not outright spooky.
Uh huh.
And I don't know. And Return the Slab. It just reminded me of that.
Very, very uncanny valley, which I got those vibes too.
So yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I didn't think it was horror. It was just like a
Yeah.
slightly different flavor of Marvel, which is fine. I appreciate a little mix up here or there, but I wouldn't go so
It's
far as to call it horror.
it's definitely like a watered down, horror inspired kind of series, I think, where it's geared for the MCU crowd, which is primarily kids, if we're being honest. Like, I know,
Well, that's
I'm
why
not a
they'll
lot of
never.
people like to admit it, but like the MCU and Star Wars, a lot of these major productions aren't actually geared for the general public. It's not geared for adults. So they are kind of sort of geared towards kids with kids in mind. And then they can throw in like a lot of other stuff kind of around that. And that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from Moon Knight so far. So it's horror adjacent, but not full on like jump scare spooky. Just entirely about
Whoa,
the
whoa, whoa,
tension and
whoa,
the
whoa,
dark.
Bailey. Jump scares aren't real scares, bro. What are you talking about? That's not
Right.
horror.
They're cheap. They're
How dare
cheap.
you say something like that? That's disgusting. I only appreciate top line horror, not that
Jump
D
scares
movie
are
stuff.
effective if they're done right. If they're not, they're just a little bit of like what would you even describe it as? It's unnecessary. It's the unnecessary sugars inside of your Big Mac.
Well, in my opinion, by that metric, then every jump scare I've ever seen has been effective. Um, I've never once seen an ineffective jump scare in my time watching movies because it gets me every fucking time.
Yeah,
But
I can kind of agree with
that's
you. Like it might not outright make me go huh, or whatever, but like I always have just like even if I'm sitting still, like my heart will still just boo.
like
So
frick.
like yeah, I see what you mean.
But whatever. Again, I had previously mentioned that I'm a pansy when it comes to that kind of stuff. So yeah, I do. Like I said a second ago, I did like the. I do understand the creative choice for more, but I hope in the future that there's more action, and I'm sure there will. Although I
Yeah.
have heard from some people, who had gotten some, press people who have gotten screeners and stuff that they had some people who had seen the first four episodes and they were
Yeah.
saying they were surprised how little Moon Knight was actually in the four episodes. And I know that there's the multiple personalities, the dissociative identity aspect there. So I'm sure they're gonna spend a lot of time with that. But if I'm a simple man at my core. If you're gonna give me a show called Moon Knight, and in 4 hours of television, Moon Knight is in there for 5 minutes, I'm probably gonna be disappointed.
I'm sure 5 minutes won't be 5 minutes.
And we'll see. But this was a 45-minute episode with 20 seconds of Moon Knight. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, like those same people who were disappointed by the amount of Moon Knight, and it still said the show was good and it had like a lot of great moments, and they're excited to see what happens after the fourth episode.
How
So,
many episodes are there? 6, you said?
six.
6, yeah.
Okay.
So, there are people out there who have seen a majority of the series, and I think every single person that I've seen has said, yeah, Moon Knight's not in it as much as you'd probably expect so far, but it's still a great series with some great performances, great action, great set pieces. So if it's able to keep me entertained, I think I will be just fine with that. And this episode having all those flashes between the action, I I think I'm fine with that for the first episode, but I'm really hoping second, third, and fourth, so on, do show us a little bit more of the action because it's good for establishing what the series is, who these characters are, makes you care for them. But I hope we don't just miss out on huge chunks of action just because of, COVID filming schedules, or they just didn't want to afford, or they couldn't afford, or they didn't want to pay for fight training and choreography or something to skimp out on a little bit of cost.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And he's supposed to be like this, from what I've gathered, the Mark personality in this and in the comics is historically like a trained mercenary.
Yeah.
But I assume and I think, and this kind of ties into one of my questions. I don't know enough about the lore of it all. I think the Moon Knight God Khonshu guy or whatever like gives him powers as well. So like
Yeah.
he's not just like there's a lot of Batman comparisons, at least to the early Moon Knight stuff, that he's basically just a Batman clone. But I think he's like but I think he does have superpowers, whereas Batman, would not. And that was one of my questions. I said when he switches to Mark, does he like automatically switch to the costume? Does he have to like magic the costume on?
I feel like it
Or does
probably
he
does.
like have to change? Because like in the scene where they're in the cupcake truck and stuff, and he switches back and forth. Does every time he switch to Mark, do you think he has the Moon Knight costume on? Because the
I
only
don't
time we
believe
see
so.
the switch is at the end.
I think the switch at the end is kind of sort of the look, I know how to take care of this, and there's only one way to take care of it,
I
and
think
that's
it's
to
his
bring
final
out Moon Knight.
form.
Whereas every other situation, I think it was just Mark being like, "Oh, I have the training. I can take care of this." So
Yeah, I figured it was probably something like that, but I
I
was
feel
just
like he
kind of
can
like, wait.
switch to Mark, and then when he's Mark, he can pop on the
he
suit at will.
has easier
Yeah,
control to access Moon Knight.
yeah. And then obviously there's the whole the aspect of the dissociative identity disorder, the multiple personalities there. In this episode, you get the idea of two of them, which I assume are going to be the main two throughout this: the Mark and Steven. And then I know in the comics, my question is, and I assume this is probably the case. Um, do we? I mean, I guess we can all probably assume that we're going to see more. I don't really know what they are,
They
but from
reference
what I've
more,
yeah, from what
sorta.
I've heard, I don't know how many there are. I think I've heard maybe there's like four. I could be wrong on that. I'm just wondering like what we'll see and like what their roles will be as well.
Yeah, same.
Because they never really establish, well, they never outright say, at least in this first episode, like is there like a main personality? Is Mark, should we consider Mark like the ringleader personality? Like cuz he seems to know what's going on whereas Steven has no idea cuz Mark's like
Right.
The
switch back, switch back, switch back.
Right. The reflections, like I think the clues are in the reflections in the show, because you know that moment he walks by, he sees the reflection, and there are two others of him. And even in the bathroom sequence, there's Mark pacing on one side, and I think the other side was a different personality.
Interesting.
Um, so I'm assuming Khonshu is going to be one of the personalities, and then you have Mark, you have Steven, and then you'll have a third one who I don't know
Do you,
who that one is necessarily, but I think Mark is kind of sort of the main one.
do you think Khonshu is a personality or is he just kind of like
I
cuz
think
I thought he was the god.
I think he's a god who has chosen Stephen to be like a vessel for the power,
Yeah.
but he's still able to communicate and commune. So I would consider the Moon Knight transformation to be a personality of sorts, but who knows what the interpretation is
Yeah.
at this
I
point.
just I just assumed the Moon Knight was Mark with a costume on.
Same.
Yeah, probably that too. Who knows?
Uh,
We'll
did
hopefully see in the next episode.
did you guys at all get the vibe from Conchu as him sort of being like Venom,
Okay.
where he's
Yes.
basically just
Yes.
like
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Steven,
Yes.
you're
yes.
a pussy.
And can I say sort of into regards of that? I don't see that was one problem I had with Venom, and maybe I'm drawing different comparisons here, but like the disembodied voices, like when I'm just hearing a voice like in his head and I don't actually see anybody talking, something about that just bothers me and I don't like it. And that's a problem I had with Venom, like just the disembodied voice, and I also at times couldn't understand what he was saying because of all of the effects they were using on him. But like I don't know, just something about not actually seeing the person talking. Just like I don't like it. It bothers me. It sounds weird. But like when you actually see
I
his reflection in the mirror, it's totally fine.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was cool. I liked all the mirror stuff.
that was a good choice. See,
Yeah.
I going off on a Venom tangent. I honestly liked the second one more in regards to that like the relationship, the talking to each other aspect. Because in the second one, Venom like his head was poking out from his body and like
That made it
talking
better.
directly to him.
Yeah,
So
that
it's
made
like
it better.
there's something physical and tangible that you could connect with,
Yeah.
instead of just having a disembodied voice kind of
Yeah.
communicate.
I'm not a fan of the disembodied voice.
But yeah, I think the show does it more effectively, um, and I hope they continue to do it the way they've done it with the reflective surfaces and all that.
Yeah, yeah. The I liked, that was one thing that I made note of was like pay attention to like the mirrors and stuff. And I think if I went back and watched it a second time, I'd like try to focus in even more closely on that. Because the first time they do it, they kind of like make it a little obvious, like, oh, hey, he walked away, but the reflection's still kind of looking. And I think like, if I pay attention to more, but there's probably a lot more small things sort of sprinkled throughout there.
Oh,
I Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna go ahead and jump into that the Armenian genocide thing that I was talking about because I remembered apparently the show is getting review bombed on IMDb, which I know like there's been discourse about like, oh, review bombing's not a thing. It's just what happens when a bad movie is getting bad scores and the studio doesn't like it. Um, but no, this is not a show that I think is deserving of a 1 star rating based on the first episode. But apparently they've like geotraced a lot of where these 1 star reviews are coming from, and it's coming from Turkey, a majority of them. And allegedly, well, actually, not allegedly, this actually happened with the Armenian genocide. The Turkish people actually committed that genocide. And so a lot of them were making these reviews saying like this is a political propaganda thing. And they're like, "Oh, is this because you guys committed an Armenian genocide? You guys are just salty that a show is calling you guys out for your shitty actions?" So, if you're seeing bad reviews for this movie, or not movie, this show so far, and it's like a 1 star review, odds are it's just a salty Turkish individual who wants to deny the fact that they committed genocide.
Bailey coming for the Turkish population there.
Out for
I lived
blood.
in Glendale, California, the highest Armenian population in the United States, and I love Armenians. They're some of the greatest people out there. And oh, I just this shit pisses me off whenever I see people like deny genocides of any kind, and they utilize media in some kind of like review bomby way to basically say, yeah, no, this never happened. Have you guys ever read the 1 star reviews of things like Schindler's List? There's a bunch of like Holocaust deniers in there who it's atrocious. I anyway, that's my piece. Let's talk about the show again.
Yeah,
Ugh.
if they're review bombing on IMDb, they're not doing a very good job. I just checked, and it's pretty soundly at like a 7.5. So,
That's
um,
about what I expected it to be, but ugh.
yeah. So I don't know. There was a couple other things in there I liked. I liked the little Avatar joke. I thought that was fun. I appreciated
Like
that.
the anime.
Yeah, that was a good one. That got a good chuckle out of me. Also, you should have gone with Avatar: The Last Airbender first instead of stupid blue avatars. I don't know why people are still talking about that.
That movie's
I
Well, it's
probably
because it's a Disney
that
product
might be
now.
the
I
most
know
overrated movie in the world.
it is, and I'll probably skip the second one. Whatever, dude.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't.
care.
It's been a decade. I don't give a shit anymore. I
Yeah.
never gave a shit to begin with, but like
Exactly.
I'm sick of like every like 2 years I hear, oh, groundbreaking news in Avatar 2, and I'm like, no, I
Don't
guarantee you
care.
that's going to be delayed for another 6 years. Shut up.
No, like Avatar's whole shtick, whenever it came out, was go see it in theaters in this new 3D style. It looks amazing. And now you can't see it in that same 3D style, so it's like the movie serves no purpose at this point.
Yeah, it's meaningless, and yeah, whatever. Screw that. Screw that Avatar. I'm more excited for the live action Netflix Avatar: The Last Airbender remake.
That's a
Let's
whole other
go.
conversation. Ugh.
Let's go. I'm ready. I'm in. I'm locked in. I don't know any other Moon Knight stuff. It seemed like and I know this was also intentional. It was definitely like the least connected Marvel show so far.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably intentional. I think they're kind of, you know, testing the waters to see if this will be successful before they start maybe roping him in, since he is like a less established character. And if this movie, if people end up hating this show, then maybe they'll just be like, okay, we're not going to do a big Moon Knight crossover yet. But there was certainly, at least as far as I saw, no real references outside of the Moon Knight lore. There was no mentions of like the blip or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So it seemed like the least connected
So
Marvel
far.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought it was
Well,
strange when they didn't, and that dude didn't reference any MCU villain. It was like Hitler,
yeah,
Pol
yeah. You
Pot.
mentioned
I
that a
was like,
second ago.
okay, interesting. They
Yeah,
are still bad guys, but
for sure. Yeah. It also kind of when they mentioned all the genocides and stuff, that also kind of like reminded me of like, and I don't know like what the general reception is. I thought it seemed a little weird to mention those things because I wasn't really sure what he was going for here. Because he's like, oh, we could have stopped all these things if it wasn't for these other gods that stopped us from stopping Hitler, you know. But
right.
it kind of reminded me of the bit in the Eternals where they're like at the nuclear at Hiroshima, like at the where they dropped the atomic bomb,
Mm-hmm.
and how that just kind of felt a little awkward. I don't know. It just felt like I would have. I think what I'm trying to say is I think I would have agreed, or if Caleb what Caleb was saying, like if they had mentioned a Marvel villain in there also, like I think maybe it would have felt less weird, or maybe it would have
Yeah.
been even more weird if they were like we could have stopped Hitler and Thanos. I'd have been like, okay, maybe that'd have been more weird. I guess I have no idea what I'm trying to say at this point. It just felt like an odd moment to me personally,
it's an
but
odd choice for the universe as it's been established for the show, and it leaves a lot of things open and unclear for the future. Because again, this could be like the same gray area as Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, the Defenders in general. Because while they're on Disney Plus,
I believe they're non-canon.
so is like Agents of Shield, which I think has been written out of canon.
Yeah, it is.
So it seems like they're like you said, they're kind of towing the waters with this before they just straight up let Moon Knight dive into the Avengers and the MCU as a whole. And
yeah,
Oscar Isaac actually said he didn't sign a long contract with the show because he didn't really want to. I guess like he was offered more, but they were just like, yeah, I just want to do just the one season to see how it goes. And if I like the experience, I may sign on for more. And
well,
as of right now, he hasn't signed on for anything else.
I thought I had also heard him say though that he would like to be part of some kind of Avengers team up.
He did say that, and I'm thinking it's one of those like these two statements can exist at the same time, where he's like,
Yeah,
I'm just wanting to tread the waters right now and just see what happens before I make
Do
like
we
a life altering
actually
decision.
do we actually think the likelihood of like these shows like Moon Knight and all these like are we gonna see Moon Knight and Shang Chi and even the evil sort of John Walker? Like, is this gonna be some big movie eventually? Are they building to that, or are they? Do we think they're gonna stick to their shows? Are they gonna stay in their lane?
yeah. Like how big of a crossover will the show guys go?
Right. That's what I'm
That's
wanting to
been
know.
that's been a pretty big debated question. Like, are these shows as
Because
relevant? And I think
we
we
are
know.
confirmed for another Captain America movie.
Yes, yeah,
So we know that that's branching out, but like, is John Walker's character going to be in there, or is that going to maybe stick to a season two? I don't know.
yeah. That's I got a lot of questions about that too. Like, is there gonna be? Because it seems like they're laying the groundwork for a lot of things. Like, there's the whole Secret Wars, which I think is supposed to be a TV show, but that sounds like it might be a big, a big collab event, and it's a big wonder of like, what if are they going to do like here's an Avengers TV show, like are they going to do a big team up TV show, kind of like when they failed with the Defenders,
Right.
and like our movie character is going to stick to movies and vice versa. But I think there's a lot of because Loki was a movie character who then started a TV show.
And then you
And
got that one.
Wanda, I mean,
Yeah, Wanda
Wanda, the
too.
events of WandaVision are kind of sort of transferring
Yeah,
into Multiverse of Madness. So
yeah,
And then that one woman at the end of Black Widow and with John Walker,
yeah,
Elena's
yeah.
character. I can't remember her name,
Mm,
but yeah,
oh Val,
Valentina.
Val. Yeah, there we
Yeah,
go. She was in movie and TV show. So
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, I honestly I have no idea what they'll do with that. I think as far as Moon Knight specifically is concerned, I think there's potential for him to end up at least like from what I can see from my limited knowledge of the canon, there's a few avenues that he could go in. Like I heard that they're doing a Marvel's working on a show or a series for this Werewolf by Night series, which is apparently the series that Moon Knight debuts in as a character.
Hmm.
Um, I don't really know anything about it beyond the fact that
It's a
that's where
werewolf.
Moon Knight is originally from, and there's a werewolf.
Weird.
But also, I think there could be some crossover for that kind of stuff, and also like Moon Knight maybe into like maybe like Blade, like
Mm.
and there's like the Black Knight or whatever at the end of Eternals where he's got like the creepy sword, and that it's confirmed that that's Blade
Ugh,
talking to
God, I
him
just
there.
forgot about all the Eternals there for a minute, and that kind of just gave me a headache. Ugh, too
So I
many.
don't know. There's a lot of possible avenues, and I'm not educated enough to know which the hell one they'll take. Um, I did have one more question before we switch gears. Did you guys have anything else you want to add?
Negative.
Nope.
Okay. My last question then is: so far, of all the shows we've gotten, who is the sexiest person to have their own Disney Plus Marvel show so far?
Oh,
Ooh.
who
Yeah,
who who
who's the
all's it?
sexiest headliner?
Who's available to pick from?
Well,
Let's go
you would
through them.
have,
Loki.
yeah, uh,
You have Wanda.
Wanda.
Oh, she wins.
You would have the combo of Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then you would have the combo of uh, Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld,
Yeah.
and then you would have Oscar Isaac. I
Um,
think that's all of them, right?
Wanda, Elizabeth Olsen. She's beautiful.
See, I immediately,
I'm gonna probably have to go.
What?
No,
I
yeah, I'd probably just go with Wanda. Just
I
Elizabeth
immediately, I immediately rule out Tom Hiddleston. I don't know why people think he's
I
attractive.
think he's attractive.
Um,
It's the
he's got
bad boy aesthetic. It's
he
the
doesn't even
I
look.
could fix him kind of
He's just
thing.
got greasy long black hair. I don't know.
I don't
Not
know. I
not
mean,
appealing to
he's not
me.
like my number one, but I think he's good looking. I see it.
I'm gonna go with Oscar Isaac here.
Okay, that's fair.
I
You
haven't
know,
seen enough, I don't think. I'm just like I need a little more from Oscar here, but he's definitely like a top contender.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
my pick.
fair.
All right, so transitioning over to the next little bit here. Boop, boop,
Next.
boop, boop. What we're gonna do in our little second segment here is kind of just like an RIP uh, Stephen Grant's chance at getting
Marvel
laid
Matchmaker.
segment here. And the cornball thing that we came up with was Marvel Matchmaker. Marvel Matchmaker. Steven, and I assume it was probably Mark, right? You got to figure that it was Mark that was throwing game
Yeah,
at this girl.
yeah.
So Mark sets up this date that Steven is totally unaware of, and then Mark forces Steven to miss this date, right? 2 days pass. So Marvel Matchmaker was inspired by Stephen Grant's failed first date with this tour guide lady. And the premise is we're matchmakers in the MCU, and it's our job to try to set up a blind date for certain Marvel characters. I said here, let's assume that all the characters are eligible and single, whether or not they are
Right,
canonically.
right.
So if, for example, it was Tony Stark, we would just assume that it's a single Tony Stark.
Correct.
The
Oh,
job,
yeah, and the people we match them with, they don't have to be Marvel, right?
Right.
correct, yeah. The job is to select a
Anybody.
person, and I said alive or dead, fictional or real, in the MCU or outside of the MCU, that you think would be a perfect match on sort of a blind date scenario. Now, whether or not it's a long term match,
Right.
it's not your
Yeah.
problem,
It's up
right?
for
You
debate.
make the match, and then if they get divorced in 3 years, that's not on you. You set them up, and you go from there. So I had a list of characters, and we were just gonna try to give our picks. I think I got 5 characters here.
Yes.
We'll start first with Drax, Drax the Destroyer, the hyper literal, uh, fight loving, some sort of alien species Drax here. Uh, did you guys have a pick you want to go with first?
Yeah. I don't. I don't know this character very well, like at all, but I know of her. And
Okay.
I went with Xena Warrior Princess. I felt
Good
like that
choice.
could maybe be a good pick for Drax.
That's probably a pretty solid pick.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I could see that working pretty well, honestly.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Uh,
you.
I think. Go ahead, Bailey.
oh yeah. I was just gonna say mine. This is probably my only in Marvel pick on this list. But I went with Mystique from the X-Men. I was just kind of
Interesting.
like, she can blend in. Drax is invisible. Like, match made in
Loose
heaven.
connection, but yeah, sure.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. I think I like Caleb's pick. Mine I put down Caulifla from Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
I just felt like they're both kind of immature and they both like fighting, and I just kind of
Yeah.
felt like they could
I was trying
spark
to think
there.
immature as well when I was doing
Yeah,
it, but
I could see them having
If
a
we
good
were
time.
also going with like a Drax who was bisexual, I'd probably pick Vigilante for her.
I could see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what kind of species Drax is, so maybe it's some sort of interspecies kind of relationship there. That's
yeah,
a weird thing. Sidebar. That's a weird thing. Like with Star Wars, it's like in Star Wars, it's like, oh, walks on two legs,
I'm gonna bang
it's
it.
eligible. Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna look these things up, but it's like how closely does the anatomy of a Zabrak and a
You have to assume
Twi'lek
it's
go together?
pretty close. If
I would assume.
because
I
isn't
mean,
there that
he
clone
also,
that bangs a Twi'lek and has kids?
Well, and Kanan has a kid with Hera.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know how they don't
Also,
look more
like in the
grotesque.
MCU, things are very different because I mean, Chris Pratt's whatever character, Star Lord, mentions that
Mario.
he's slept with multiple things, including something with a lot of tentacles.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Gross.
Mario. Uh, okay, so Drax out of the way. Next pick, then. We're trying to find a date for Ultron. Good
John.
old Ultron here. Who are we gonna pick for Ultron?
Uh,
I You
you can
got
go
one,
ahead.
Caleb?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I do.
I
But you
was
can go
gonna.
ahead.
Okay, I want to go first. I was proud of mine.
I am too.
Um, I picked for Ultron's first date. I picked Mark Zuckerberg. Um,
oh god.
Mark Zuckerberg is either an alien or a robot, and he has no human
He
emotions.
would
And
definitely
and he
try
is
and meld with Ultron.
yes, he is likely also plotting the eventual end of mankind. So I feel like they would have a
Yeah.
lot to talk about, and I think it could spark, sparks may be flying there.
Yeah.
Um, I don't want to do the anatomy breakdown on that either. So I'll just leave it at Mark Zuckerberg, the Zuck.
Yeah. I've got down Scorpio from Star Wars: The Old Republic. Uh,
Okay.
she is honestly probably just a female Ultron. She is just the most evil and insane robot you meet in that game, and you meet her originally during the Imperial Agent storyline, but since all this expansion DLC has come out, I mean, it's intertwined with everybody. And she is just straight up pure evil, and she will literally, even though she's like your companion, your follower, she'll try and kill you at literally any point if possible. Like, it's insane. She's just straight up evil, and she's crossed you multiple times in the story, and she's an evil robot. So I feel like it just absolutely fits with Ultron.
They even
She's
look
down
pretty
with killing
similar.
people. Yeah,
They
yeah,
even look pretty similar, yeah.
she's insane.
Like Ultron with robot boobs.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Thank you.
Well, I chose Karen from SpongeBob,
Who?
Plankton's computer wife.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah, no. I was just like, I think they could make it work. I mean, she supports evil plans,
True.
so Ultron has evil plans. Might as well.
Oh yeah.
I can see it. So it's a solid fit there. I think all of those could be pretty successful, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next on our list, next match that we need to find a match for is Elena Belova. Elena Belova.
I'm gonna go first on this. So, Elena Belova is actually canonically Arrow Ace. And it's not been confirmed in the MCU, but it's been kind of heavily implied. So, Just, if she's on a date with someone, it's probably to get information or to kill them. Um, so if I set her up on a blind date, she'd just kill me instead because she doesn't do that. But I just kind of set up a platonic friendship kind of date, and I chose Impa from Twilight Princess. I don't know. They just seem like they would be a fun match.
Yeah, she's a sort of assassin type. Yeah.
Yeah.
First picture of Impa that comes up is an old lady who's very short.
Well, I'm picturing
Is it
Impa
Impa?
from I'm picturing Impa
Twilight
from
Princess.
Ocarina of Time, and she's kind of an assassin. She's the one that trains like Zelda to become a
Yeah,
sheep.
I assume this is just a different.
Yeah, probably
Which
a
Theme.
different
one's
one.
which one's Impa? That's not the one who rides the wolf link, right? Is that a different character?
Oh, are you talking about that one, like the little thing?
Yeah, the little creepy
Oh,
lady thing.
what is her
Little
name? I
elf.
know who you're talking. That's
There's
not.
Impa and there's Impaz.
Is that not Impa?
Bailey, you're sounding like a robot.
Yeah, a little bit.
Is that not Impa?
Midna,
That's Midna? Okay.
Midna. If you're referring to the little thing that rides on him,
Midna Impa, it's easy to get them mixed up. I choose Midna.
With the
okay.
orange hair?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, orange hair with the little weird
helmet.
crown that kind of goes over the eye.
Yeah, Midna. I would have went with Impa if it were me. I think, but Midna works. Okay.
Yes, I don't like searching. I'm regretting searching for Midna because there's a lot of like
Oh,
troubling and problematic fan art here.
well,
Oh,
no. There, she does actually get a sort of human form, so that's
No, I know,
not.
but it's the part that's troubling is the hypersexualized non-human forms that I'm
yeah.
seeing here.
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're talking about now. Yeah,
Yeah,
You fell down a rabbit hole.
we did.
I got out of it.
We're gone.
You're welcome.
We're on Yelena.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes. Yeah.
For me, for Elena, I went with John Wick. I feel like I can always find a way to bring John Wick here.
Well,
I
any
mean,
chance to mention John Wick.
right, and I mean, they're both for hire assassins. Essentially, I feel like like Bailey said, maybe she'd try and kill her date. I'd like to see her try and kill John
Oh,
Wick.
absolutely.
Like it wouldn't work, and
Hey,
maybe they'd fall in love.
you know what else? I'm liking all of Caleb's picks today.
Thank you.
You know what else I just realized that makes a good connection on there?
Hmm.
They both love dogs.
They do. Yes. There
Elena's
we
got a
go.
dog. John Wick will kill your entire family over his dog.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah. John Wick.
Oh,
Let's
this is
go.
good. This was my kind of I kind of copped on this one. I just put Kate Bishop from Hawkeye.
Mm.
I don't know if it was if I would necessarily say that it was romantic chemistry that it had, but
I
there
could
was
see it.
definitely like an on-screen. Yeah, it seemed like maybe there was a little playful banter, maybe a little low-key
Flirtatious
flirt in there.
vibes.
Yeah, but they at the very least could end up being very good buddies, which I think they will ultimately end up being.
Yeah.
So that was my pick. I felt like that was a safe bet there.
Definitely.
Our next one, then second to last here, I went with Shang Chi. Shang Chi, who is, in my opinion, maybe the best dressed Marvel character, but that's neither here nor there. Like
Hmm.
before he gets like I mean, outside of his suit looks cool. Just like his day to day wear.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great sneaker game. Just looks very comfy. Just looks very like a very cool dude. Also pretty sexy as well.
He's good
Um,
looking. Yeah.
yeah, he's a handsome man. Who wants to go first on this one?
I
Shang
I
Chi.
will. I kind of copped out, and I went with Aquafina's character. I don't know
Okay.
Shang-Chi very well, but I feel like
Yeah.
maybe that could happen. I don't know if they're too good of friends for that to ever be a thing, or what.
I feel like they're probably pretty platonic there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was getting, but I don't know. Maybe that. Maybe that's it's not a good answer. That's probably my worst one so far. So sorry.
It is your worst one so far. um, I went with Katana from Mortal Kombat. I felt like
Hmm.
they're both highly trained martial artists.
Yeah.
Two, they both have problematic sisters who have tried to kill them slash stab them in the back slash become their antagonist.
Wait,
And three,
Shang-Chi's
they
got a
both
sister?
yeah, Melina is sort of like, well, Melina's not like a blood sister, but they're raised as sisters.
Oh. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's a whole weird thing, and also they both have sort of some daddy issues there as well, right? With Katana being raised by Shao Kahn and
Mm-hmm.
basically raised to kill, just like Shang Chi was. I feel like there's probably a lot of
You, I mean, like,
childhood bonding
sorry,
there.
I blanked out. I thought you were describing Gamora and her relationship with her sister and her dad.
No, but Gamora has a very similar backstory to Katana would, or maybe Katana stole it from Gamora. I don't know. They both have a sister that they were raised with that's less than complete human, and a dad that is
Asshole.
pretty much abducted them and raised them to kill people. So there's yeah, that was my pick, Katana.
Nice.
My pick is the girlfriend in the cheating boyfriend meme. I don't know if you've seen that. It's the stock
Yeah.
photo of a guy looking
Okay,
back at a lady while his girlfriend is like next to him. I'm like, ah. And the only reason why I chose this is because Simu Liu is in a lot of stock photos
I've seen
from
that.
early in his career. And I just think, oh, wouldn't that be sweet if the other stock photo model and him got together?
they probably know each other.
They
They
might.
probably do.
Huh?
So I choose the girl who is being cheated on, quote unquote, by the guy in that meme.
Okay,
Good
yeah,
pick. She deserves
she
love.
needs she yes
She
exactly
deserves more than that asshole.
Right.
yeah. And speaking of assholes, our last pick
Get out of
here
here.
is John Walker, Captain America John Walker here.
Caleb should probably go first.
Yeah, and that's pretty easy. I pick me. I think I am the perfect match for John Walker. He's a pretty good looking dude, but let's be honest. And everybody else in that show is an asshole, not him. So,
Oh wow.
no,
Jesus.
I tease. But I will hold my point, though, that fucking Falcon Winter Soldier, they were dicks to him. They were dicks to him. He was just trying to help. And they're like, go home. We don't like you because you have a shield. But yeah, I pick me.
Okay. Well, it's a solid pick.
Thank you.
You know,
Good
maybe
pick.
have a good time.
I think I could make it work.
Okay. Bailey, you want to go or you want me to go?
I'll go. I chose Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That was
Um,
my pick too, Bailey.
God damn it,
I
yes.
had the
Okay.
exact same one.
I don't know who that is.
Uh, you're lucky
Jeez.
for not. She's basically this crazy alt-right QAnon Trump psychopath.
Who is
Woman.
a member of the House or the Senate? I can't remember which.
I think the House.
I think it's the House. I remember her election. I think she won by default because her cronies like attacked her Democratic opponent and sent him like death threats. And
You
he
guys
essentially
are
fled the
assholes.
state of Georgia and like dropped out of the race. So she won by default.
We have not
Yeah.
seen an ounce of political agenda from John Walker, all right? So shut
I
up.
don't
He is
know
not a
about
Trump
that.
supporter.
No, nobody
Here's the
said
thing.
that.
Marjorie
He,
Taylor Greene is the kind of person to be like, I'm not racist. I have black friends. And then as soon as she sees a black man walking on the street, she'd point at him and be like, he's a criminal. You know,
John
and that's
Walker
just kind of the
wouldn't do
vibe
that.
John Walker would have.
No, no. His best friend was black and his wife was black. Like, this is based off nothing. He's not racist.
Well, Cowboy Hat Guy at the palace also had a black
Yeah,
wife.
but he was also just crazy. And it was very obvious he was crazy.
That guy probably had some sort of real problem.
Yeah.
No, I did. That was my ha ha ha. I'm a funny guy pick there.
Yeah,
I should
yeah,
change my pick.
yeah.
I should seriously change my pick to something that's a little more befitting. And I choose Adam
Me.
Levine.
Why?
Because Caleb would be so upset that his two man loves are in love with each other and not in love with him.
Well, you're wrong about Adam. That is just Zach poisoning the well.
I don't
I
know.
just put Ahsoka Tano down on everything.
Oh yeah, just anything that will piss Caleb off. We'll just be like Ahsoka Tano. There we go. That's perfect fit for John Walker.
Ha 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 ha.
Okay, well, I think that is the end of that segment there. I thought that was fun. Maybe we can do some more of that in the future. But yeah, next week we'll do something that I am not certain on yet, and then we'll probably come back to Moon Knight at the midpoint, episode 3, halfway
Yes.
through the finale there.
We should keep
Um,
track of how many minutes Moon Knight is in the series and just give updates.
well, right now it's 1/3 of a minute, I would say.
There we go. Cool. So we have a starting point.
20 seconds. Maybe he can eclipse that in this next episode.
Aha! I see that. I see what you did there.
Hey, that wasn't even on purpose. Pretty smart guy. All right, and I'll leave it on that before I say something that sounds less fun. Goodbye.
Bye.